It's on TV. It's on TV.
Kia ora. Welcome to Avonside News. I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Jordan. In today's stories, a new crime wave is sweeping the country in the form of woolen graffiti. Scientists have invented an invisibility cloak. We help them find it, and the latest in weather around the country. But first, a story that will turn your world upside down.
If you think the world is getting more and more topsy-turvy, it turns out you're right. Builders in Germany have built an upside-down house, and before you think they may have read the plans upside down, they did it on purpose. The wacky abode was built as a tourist attraction as well as being a comment on the state of the world. The house is 23 feet tall and rests on its roof and has steel beams in the attic. Inside the house, there are beds screwed into the ceiling, upside-down wardrobes, an upside-down kitchen, and even an upturned bathroom, though it's not known if anyone has tried to have a bath in it or go to the toilet. Normally, a house like this would take 3 weeks to build. This one took over 4 months. This is because workers kept getting confused by the strange angles of the walls. Many tourists visiting the house complain of feeling sick and dizzy after just a few minutes inside. We now cross over to our reporter Erin, who is inside the house. How are you feeling, Erin?
Thanks, Vanessa. I'm here with Zoe, the owner of the house, and I'm feeling very sick. So, Zoe, what made you decide to build a house that was upside down?
Well, I decided the world had lost its individuality, and I just thought that I needed a change in my housing, and I didn't want to go with the same old type of house.
And what do you think your house says about the state of the world?
I think it shows that everyone else is so boring, and I think they need to change. Maybe they should build an upside-down house.
And what are some of the challenges of living in a house where everything is upside down?
Well, there's quite a few challenges, like the floor is very cold because there's no carpet or anything, and I can't have a shower because it just doesn't work, and I have to chain myself to the bed because otherwise I'd fall out.
And do you intend to live in this house permanently?
I think I'll live in it for a while, but I'm going to build another house, a house that is only halfway turned so that it's easier to do things.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Erin Crowther with Avonside News. Back to Jordan in the studio.
Thanks, Erin. Even watching that makes me feel queasy. And now for a story that is truly out of sight. Look out, Harry Potter. The world of science is catching up to the world of magic. Scientists in Europe have created a 3D invisibility cloak which can hide objects by bending light waves. It has been found that light can be controlled using special tiny crystals that makes objects disappear. So far, scientists have made small objects such as coins disappear, but hope that it won't be long before they're hiding cars, planes, and even people. People have always dreamed of making themselves invisible, one top scientist says. Possibilities are endless, and we are very excited. However, since inventing the invisibility cloak, the scientists have been having trouble finding it. As soon as we put it down somewhere, it just disappears, the inventor of the cloak said. It appears they are having trouble finding other things too, like their lunch, which I think may be underneath the cloak. What will this invention actually be used for? Hoping to see through the reasons behind the invisibility cloak, here is our on-the-spot reporter Izzy with more on the story.
Hi, I'm Isabella Prattley for Avonside News, and with me today is Claudia Lewis, one of the scientists behind the invisibility cloak. Thanks for joining us today, Claudia.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Could you please tell us what your inspiration for the invisibility cloak was?
Well, it all started for my great love of Harry Potter when I was a kid. I suppose that was my inspiration and it all just grew from that.
Fair enough. And would you give us a demonstration of how the invisibility cloak works?
Sure. Every part of my body that the cloak covers is invisible.
That's very impressive. And what would you say your hope for the invisibility cloak is?
Well, I'd like to think it could be used for things like secret agents and spies if they need to go undercover. And I just hope it doesn't get into the wrong hands, because that could be a very big disaster.
Too true. And one final question before we go back to the studio. Does your bum look big in the invisibility cloak?
That's a pretty tough question. Not really sure. I could probably tell you if I could see.
That's all we've got time for today. Thanks for joining us, Claudia. I'm Isabella Pratley for Avonside News. Back to Vanessa in the studio.
Thanks, Izzy. And now, how's this for an interesting yarn? A new wave of graffiti crime is covering the country, thanks to an underground gang known as the Midnight Knitters. These wall-waving criminals are covering tree branches and lampposts with small jerseys and scarves under the cover of darkness. Police say the knitted activities of the gang are illegal because their woolly crimes are being done on public property without permission. The popularity of woolen graffiti is growing and more public objects are being wrapped up every night. But the problem is growing, police say, and warn that if the Midnight Knitters aren't caught soon, every tree, lamppost and traffic light in the country will be warmly dressed against the cold. The problem is spinning out of control. They're a close-knit group of dyed-in-the-wool criminals. We are stitching together a case, but it's not seamless. There is no real pattern to the crimes, a police spokesman said today. So far, the criminal knitters have escaped arrest and continue to pull the wool over the eyes of both the public and the police. We go now to a secret location with our investigative reporter Emma, who has an exclusive interview with one of the Midnight Knitters gang.
Thanks, Vanessa. I'm Emma, and joining me here in this top secret location is a member of the Midnight Knitters gang. Hi Augustus, thanks for joining us.
No problem, bro.
What got you into the dark underworld of knitting?
Well, I really like colour, so I wanted to see it everywhere. So I just decided to do it.
And do you think of yourself as a criminal?
Not even, bro.
Apart from trees, lampposts and telephone poles, what else would you like to graffiti with your woolens?
Well, cats would be good. Dogs. Rats. Yeah.
And why do you want to graffiti cats and dogs?
Because then I could walk down the street and be like, oh, it's a cat wearing a scarf.
Thanks for your time, Augustus. Now let's go to Bailey with the weather update.
Thank you, Emma, and good evening, New Zealand. Let's have a look at tomorrow's weather. Starting in the far north in Kaitaia, look out for some pretty flash flooding and raindrops as big as your head. If you're going outside, wear a hat. Moving down to Auckland, there will be a mix of fair conditions and unfair conditions. But these are the conditions and you'll just have to accept them. There will be no weather in the Bay of Plenty. It is taking a short holiday but is expected to be back for the weekend. In Napier and Hastings, the weather will be sometimes changeable and sometimes not. We have really no idea what will happen there. In Taranaki, a mild depression brings with a very dull day, with no highlights at all. It will be overcast and gloomy all morning, but things should cheer up by the evening. So don't worry, everything will be fine. Wellington will have another capital day. There will be no wind at all, and the day conditions will be so pleasant there will actually be an extreme. In the top of the South Island, Kaikoura can expect to have a good day, meeting friends for lunch, going for a swim and reading the newspaper, but try to stay indoors as the weather will be just terrible. A real mix for Christchurch, which will have some unreasonable rainfall, some sensible wind, moderate thunderstorms and some very angry snow. In the lower south, Dunedin will be frosty, cold and unfriendly until late morning, when the sun will pop over for a visit. Everybody likes the sun. That's all from me. Remember, if it's raining outside, that's the weather for you. Good night, New Zealand. Now it's back to the news desk with Vanessa and Jordan.
Thanks, Bailey. Well, that's all we have time for.
We hope you've enjoyed this evening's broadcast. Thank you all for watching and we'll see you again next time. Until then, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Vanessa for Avonside News.
Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's on TV. It's on TV. It's on TV. Ladies and gentlemen, it's meant to be on TV. It's on now. It's on TV. You've seen it on the TV show. It's on TV. It's on TV. It's on now. You've seen it on the TV show. your feet.
Seen it on a TV show.
It's on TV. It's on now. It's on TV. And it's on now.
Seen it on a TV show.
Now.